Streets were quieter today as the latest round of emergency measures came into effect. All non-essential retail outlets are now closed and all restaurants and cafes are operating as takeaways only. Outdoor gatherings of more than 4 people are banned unless they're from the same household, and there will be an increased presence of Gardaí and park rangers to ensure physical distancing is being observed.
The situation in parks and gardens is being constantly monitored and kept under review. We're continuing to stress the importance of social distancing at these sites with signage and large-scale electronic displays in certain areas.
Meanwhile, new rules have been introduced for testing to cope with the high demand. Patients will have to display 2 symptoms, a fever and either a cough or a shortness of breath, and also either be a close contact of a confirmed case, a healthcare worker, or be considered vulnerable. Anyone currently waiting for a test who doesn't have an appointment will have to contact their GP again.
The CMO's advice is that while you're waiting for a test, you should work on the basis that you have the virus and be self-isolating. And the second thing to say is that testing to date has yielded 6% positive results. So that means 94% of the tests are negative.
From today, a COVID-19 information booklet is being delivered to households nationwide, which provides further advice about the virus, while a new information dashboard is also going live at gov.ie. The emergency measures will last until at least the 19th of April and come as the number of confirmed cases here rose to 1,329 last night and another patient died, bringing the death toll to 7. Nicole Gernan, Virgin Media News.
Let's go to government buildings now to our political correspondent Gavin Riley. Gavin, the Taoiseach and the Health Minister Simon Harris launching a new public health information campaign this morning. So what do they have to say?
Well, they're going to be delivering this booklet to every single home in the country over the coming days. In fact, some households may have already received it this morning. And effectively, it's a little booklet with just some simple tips and guidelines as to what exactly the coronavirus and COVID-19 entails, some of the ways in which people might be able to best keep themselves out of harm's way, some tips for what they might have to do if they're self-isolating in the meantime, and some of the welfare options that are open to them. And this, of course, is just the latest measure that the government is undertaking to try and help people get to grips with COVID-19 and this coronavirus pandemic. But it does raise a question as to how all of this will be paid for. We know the health measures yesterday, the welfare measures yesterday, and some of the business supports mean that all in all the government has so far spent around €4.5 billion in the state's response to this, and if things were to go on for longer than the 12 weeks that the government is currently budgeting for, then that cost could rise quite significantly. And all of that begs the question as to what impact that will have on the government from here on in. Now, Leo Varadkar says there is no cause for an emergency budget until all of this is done. There is no point trying to move the chairs financially speaking until we know exactly what all of this is going to cost the state. But the cost could run into the billions, and there has been some suggestions that this should all be paid for centrally by the EU. There were ideas in the past of so-called Euro bonds, where every single country would issue a collective IOU to pay for the costs smaller countries like Ireland might endure. That has been raised again, although the president of the Eurogroup, which is the group of European finance ministers, Mario Centini, says that after a meeting last night there is still no agreement on whether that option can be used.
The sense that we have in the Eurogroup is that we will need to continue working and no possible solution has been set apart as of today.
So no common ground among Eurozone finance ministers when they discussed that last night. It will be discussed again tomorrow when Leo Varadkar and his 26 EU counterparts have another teleconference. He will discuss the prospect of there being some sort of centralised EU or ECB funding for all of the various crisis measures that Ireland and other countries will have to pursue. But with other big countries like Germany being resistant for the time being, it's not sure how much success he will have.
OK, Gavin, thank you for that.